Just doing my taxes on my computer. Hang on. What's going on? Whoa. Stop whatever you're doing. Nope. Stop. Oh, no. Gotcha. No. Oh, you piece of junk. Hey there, YouTube land. I am Jeff, your tabletop technician here on the Dice Tower, and today's game is all about espionage, hacking, stealing data, and generally being jerks to your friends, because this is Black Tie, designed and self-published by Jared Tolley under the name Studio Ardia. This is a 2 to 5 player deck building game that lasts a little less than an hour. Let me real quick show you how it plays. First, there are 6 general categories of card in the game. Green data cards, blue agent cards, yellow double agents, gray gadget cards, red defense cards, and marigold facility cards. Well, what the heck color would you call this?
Brown?
Right. Well, hey, anyways, gameplay here is pretty simple. On your turn, you can play up to 3 cards from your default hand size of 5. Now, each of these cards behaves differently, and I'll get into those in just a moment, but after you've taken your actions, you can then purchase 1 card from the market. There are 2 rows of cards on the market, 1 for those blue agent cards, and 1 for everything else. The cost of a card is shown along its side, and you'll have to discard that many cards in order to add it to your discard pile. There is also a separate stack of double agent cards which can be purchased. These are limited with just 1 per player at the start of the game. After making your purchase, you can keep up to 2 cards from your previous hand before drawing back up to your hand limit. The game ends immediately when the last double agent is removed from the stack, either purchased or destroyed. Your final score is determined by simply how many non-data cards you have in your deck, between the deck, discard pile, and your hand. Now, there are 5 different sets of these data cards. There's a different number in the game depending on the player count, and they're worth a scaling value of points depending on how many cards of each set you have, plus 5 points for having at least 1 card from each set in the game. Alright, let me talk a little bit more about the different types of cards in this game. I'm going to start by talking about these double agents. These are by far the most expensive card in the game, and if you manage to purchase one and keep it long enough to get it into your hand, you can play it as one of the 3 actions on your turn. Now, this ends your action phase immediately and lets you purchase cards, but for the rest of your turn, you can purchase as many cards as you want, and the value of each card that you discard becomes the same as its purchase cost. This is nice, unless of course you have a handful of $0 cards. Now, speaking of $0 value cards, most of those are these green data cards. Now, as I mentioned, these come in different sets, and you'll actually start off the game with some of these in your deck with different configurations based on player count. Now, these can be played as an action on your turn, and hilariously, they generate something of a go fish effect, where you name a type of card, and each opponent around the table must tell you how many of that card they have in their hand, if any. Gadget cards have a single effect before being discarded. Some will let you draw more cards or swap a card in your hand with one from the market. There's also the hidden camera card, which counts as 2 cards if discarded to make a purchase. Now, facility and defensive cards are played in front of players as a personal tableau. Facilities might let you retire unwanted cards, store cards for later use, increase your hand size, or retain more than the default 2 cards between turns. Those red defensive cards might let you protect those facilities or protect yourself from the theft or destruction of your cards from your discard pile or your draw deck. Now, of course, if you need defense, then there's something you likely need defense from, and that would be these blue agent cards. Agents, like gadget cards, are played on your turn and then discarded. These might let you destroy a card from the top of a player's draw deck, steal a card from someone's discard pile, or snatch an item from one of the market decks. These cards are in fact so versatile that with the 7 different agents that come in the game, there are a total of 15 different actions you can use them for. How does that work, you wonder? Well, because Black Tie utilizes a stacking feature that affects both these agent cards and some of the other cards I've already mentioned. I revealed a moment ago that you can only play up to 3 cards on your turn, but you can play multiple copies of the same card as a single action, as long as that card allows a stacking ability. So for example, a single annex played in front of you increases your hand size by 1, but 2 annexes played at the same time will also let you retain 1 extra card between turns. Likewise, a single spy lets you steal a random card from another player's discard pile, while a pair of spies lets you choose the card you steal. Of course, spies are blocked by firewalls, which can also be stacked to ward off stronger stacks of spies. I think this stacking system is pretty clever, and it's somewhat unique, which makes it a little odd that on the Studio Ardia website, Jared suggests that Black Tie's uniqueness comes from its lack of health, money, or mana, its focus on player interaction, and its theme. None of which I think are really unique to Black Tie, but this stacking feature kinda is. It means that players can find themselves in a tug of war, constantly trying to one-up each other with stronger defenses to thwart off stronger attacks. Of course, that is provided that any of you get enough cards in your hand to trigger any of these effects, which is where I'll pivot into some of my issues with Black Tie. First, I'm not going to be too vicious on the art, since this is clearly a low-budget indie project with one man behind the wheel. But the color choices on these cards wasn't exactly very well thought out. Take for example the embargo card, with the most and thus the smallest text of any of these cards, in black on a dark burgundy background. Listen, this is a PSA to all indie designers out there. You have to contrast light and dark colors, especially where text is involved. Like this, or this. And while I'm on about presentation, I do have to mention the rulebook, which is about as basic as rulebooks can be. Now, there's nothing wrong with a simple pamphlet-style rulebook, and these don't have to be colorful or flashy to get the job done. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you make a simple card game, you have to have a comprehensive set of rules that leave no questions unanswered. And with playing Black Tie, I had a lot of unanswered questions. So many so that I had to have a lengthy chat conversation with Jared as I tried to understand how these cards work with and against each other. The card stacking element of the game is unique and clever, as I've already mentioned, but it also creates a lot of fringe cases that this little pamphlet of rules just doesn't cover. And plenty of times in our plays, I was asked questions that I simply had no answers to. Other than that, the only issue with Black Tie is its commonality. Here's the truth. Creating a take that card game really isn't that difficult. Creating cards that can destroy other cards or target another player's draw deck or discard pile just isn't that much of a challenge. And going from there to creating defensive cards to offset the offensive cards, again, just not that much of a stretch. Now these data cards and how they score is kind of interesting, but they still just feel like a lot of missed opportunities. I mean, imagine if you had to use the values of these data cards to come up with codes that would let you attack another player's defenses or hack their facilities. Imagine if you had a deduction element where you first had to figure out what the codes were by kidnapping another player's agents or stealing their data. Now that would be pretty interesting. Instead, and I know I've used this analogy quite a lot in my reviews lately, but this just felt like Munchkin 007. It's another random take that card game, the kind where the player who wins will be the one who drew a very good hand in their previous turn and were left alone long enough to put it to good use. And really, that randomness is both a strength and a weakness in Black Tie. In my first playthrough of this, I saw a stacked agent ability used one time in the entire game. On the other hand, there were plenty of players who played a facility card or a defensive card that didn't make it until their next turn. Getting two of the right card to play at the right time in Black Tie is quite a bit of a challenge. On the other hand, it is so easy to pluck away individual cards in someone's tableau that sometimes it seems pointless to play them in the first place. I feel like the one aspect that drives the randomness of Black Tie is the scoring based on quantity of cards at the end of the game. This incentivizes you to buy a card on every single one of your turns, but the cards available in the market on your turn may not be the ones that you really want to build into your deck. This of course forces you to choose between building an effective deck or just hoarding endgame points. Those double agents allowing for multiple purchases in a single turn can often exacerbate this problem. Anyways, listen, you know if you and your friends are up for a game like this. I do think it has a couple of interesting ideas, and at least one of my friends who played it did really enjoy the experience. I do wish it leaned a little bit more into its theme, but it certainly has some potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Jared comes up with next. In the meantime, keep your friends close and your data cards closer. Cheers. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, where did it all go? What's here? What's going on? Hello? Hello? I don't whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, what are you doing? No, stop. This is very bad, very bad.